Everybody out there in YouTube land, welcome back to my little digital slice. What he said. Yeah. So we are live once again. And here we are. Okay, so we're just getting ready with our chat and our menu. Make sure you like the screen. Screen? Yeah, like the screen. I have a beautiful screen. The stream. And make sure to share with your friends. If you are interested in talking about some magic today, this is our Magic Live practice that we're going to be doing Fridays about 3:30. Same thing with Mondays, which is our Raise Your Level workshop at about 3:30 as well. So, don't forget to share. I'm going to do that right now. Create a post. Crab, that's not how you spell that. Grab some magic and come practice. Post. Okie dokie. Okay, so let's go ahead and find the little button. I think is it already out? Yeah, okay. So we already have our chat popped out. We like to bring up our OBS so we can make sure that things are flowing nicely. And you can see that we're loaded down. We're loaded down. And why is that? Well, because practicing magic isn't just about the magic, right? Practicing magic is about what are you going to do when you're out and about? How are you going to wear your magic? How are you going to transition your magic? Where's your magic coming from? All of that stuff, right? I can't have this in my back pocket. It just won't fit. Thank you, Doug Kahn. Appreciate the gigantic wand for the big magic. Ha-cha. So, here's the thing, right? So we talk about pack flat plays big. Doesn't always work, right? Because sometimes you might have props that are larger than life, but you still want to put them in your show. So you have to figure out how to wear them and how to carry them. So here's what I've been starting to do. So as you can see, you saw I'm wearing the Lego shorts with the Lego shirt. I've got the good one on. I've got two Lego shirts, one with a chest pocket, one without. I have multiple things that I use the chest pocket for, and it just doesn't work when I'm not wearing it because I'll practice the stuff that utilizes the chest pocket and then I'll miss it, right? I'll forget about it. So here's what we've got going on. Let's get into some of this stuff. If people are going to join, they can suggest what we work on. I will check my post. I put up a poll here a little bit ago. I'll do it every week. I might start doing it the day before just to get some traction. Now that we have a set day for this stuff because we're trying to get a good schedule for you and as well for myself because consistency is important in anything that you do. Here's what I've started putting together. So when I want to do more of the kidsy cartoony stuff, I have the Lego bag. Now this is a go bag, which means I can just put it on my waist and I can go. Now, it's recommended that you don't carry this while you're performing. Here's how I wear it. Now, this may or may not work for you. It doesn't look good if this is on your waist like this while you're performing, right? Okay, that's fine. Here's what I do when I'm performing. I have my shirt out and it falls over. So as I'm performing to people, they don't see the belt because I have my shirt covers everything. And then people behind me might see this. I'd have it a little bit tighter because right now it's falling all the way down. I would keep it nice and tight, tucked up here. So the only thing that they might be seeing is just like the bottom of the Lego thing. I think that that's fine. If you don't particularly care for that, then it's a preference thing to me. I definitely understand how you want to keep it nice and neat. That's how I particularly like to wear it. I like to have a undershirt showcasing some type of magical thing, which as a side note, I ordered a show shirt for Magic Orthodoxy from spring, and it still hasn't got here. It's still in production. I don't know what's going on with spring. I was gonna order. I was actually gonna put together clothes for myself. I mean, I would like to sell stuff, but for myself, so that I could brand, and then that way I could wear it every day. And I didn't haven't even got my show shirt, so I'm not gonna put money into it if there's no movement happening there. So that is my not kids show. That's just it's my Lego show. Let's just call it Legos. And then this one is my gray show, right? This is just my actually, for instance, when I'm trying to theme it is the 8 ball is the theme. There are some playing cards that I want to get that I have an Omni deck in both packs, but they're different. If you know, you know. I have a silk in both of them, and then in here I have my scarf, my color changing scarf. In here I have a rope. I can do the same magic with both of them. It's just an interchangeable rope magic. And then in both of them, I carry a theme deck of cards because when I wear, actually, what I wore yesterday was I wore my Oogie Boogie shirt and I had my Nightmare Before Christmas shoes on. So I took the Nightmare Before Christmas deck. So I will carry a theme deck, something that is still like bicycle or something, but something of quality that people will recognize that's part of the theme. And then I'll carry an extra deck that will either be no setup or a gimmick. This one typically will not be gimmicked, but it might have something in it. What I want in this pouch, as I was going to say, there is a Magic 8-ball playing cards from Industries Mechanics or something like that. I was going to pick them up this week, but the place that I was going to buy them from sold out. So I'm like, oh no, what do I do? So I'm still on the hunt for that. I will get some though, and they'll be in here permanently. 8-ball playing cards. Boom. And then I have a packet trick. The ones I'm carrying in here are not the permanent ones. I do want to find some packet tricks that'll work here. Now, everything that's in here is not going to stay in here, right? Some of this stuff is going to go in the pockets while I'm wearing it. So I won't even be going to this pouch for stuff while I'm going to my show. What this is that at the end of my walk around or my show, if I need to, I just pop over in the corner for a second. I change some stuff, I reset, and then that way I can come back if I'm going to have a longer set. That way I have more material, but I'm not bogged down by trying to perform like 15, 20 things. I just have a good amount of things in here, but not too many. They're all part of the same show. It's like, think about when you write your act. Let's say you're going to write an hour and a half, right? But then they tell you they only need you for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or 45 minutes. So you know there's material that you can cut. This is the cut material. This is the stuff that you've prepared as part of your larger show. It's already in there and ready to go. So that if you needed to perform the hour and a half, you've already got it on you. Or if you wanted to carry some extra thread or some lotion or anything like that, can fit in here as well. Or what I'd recommend for that is a carry-on that it could match just to keep the theme going. This one doesn't go anywhere near you while you're performing. This is not something you put it behind the bar, you leave it in your car. That's close by. Like if you're performing in a bigger area and you don't have your car like right outside, because where I'm from, I can hop out for a 5-minute break and the car will be right outside. Not going to happen in a bigger area. So it's something that you would keep it a locker or just make sure the venue has somewhere safe that you can keep it, that you can access it if you need to fix something or change something, or even roll up an extra shirt in there or something, or a towel. You just keep that stuff with you in there. This is only for something that you might want to have on you, so that if something does happen and you're like, oh, well, let me just switch out to this, you got it. So this is your switcheroo case right here. In the front, I haven't really decided what I want to keep in here. Right now I have sponge balls. I just threw them in there so I could practice with them. And then I just carry this case. Oh, I also have a haunted key in here and some coins. I put coins in both of them. I put a handful of them so that I can practice 1, 2, 3 routines. This is my haunted key set. You've seen it in conjunction. It's a scotch and soda with the haunted key. And it's just like coin to box. And then the key kind of gives you a little bit of breakup between that with some telekinesis. So this one is a fun one that I like to carry. I will be working on these to have them more permanent bases so that they'll be like actual show stuff. I've got my Halloween magic out. I've missed Easter once again. I was practicing some of the stuff over on the shelf. It's buried over right there. It's buried over there. But I was practicing some of that stuff, but I didn't get all of it put together for this Easter. Someday we'll have stuff together. We're a hobbyist magician. We're just kind of playing around. We're trying to put stuff together. And if anybody wanted to help out with that, go ahead and let me know down below. We can work on stuff together. We can jam together. I should join a Discord or something so I can be around like-minded people, but it's so hard for me to put myself out into those groups when I've got all my own stuff going on. So I do have a local library group that I'm trying to put together. I've been inviting people. I have another meeting on Monday. So if anybody is watching this, it's on Saturday, the May 10th at the library in Olean here, the grand land of Olean. So if you're local and you're watching, check us out. Halloween Magic. We've got this book to go through as well as a bunch of others. This is actually a weird thing that came with this Halloween book. This is actually a USB card. Yeah, it's got a little pumpkin on it and it folds out and you plug it into your computer. Weird, right? That's cool. So I wanted to have this on my desk just so that I could keep it close by. Now, when you talk about having different things on you throughout the day, I do want to stress that if you're putting together a show and you have to cut stuff that's similar material, does juggling count as ball magic? So, like, if you're doing billiard balls or sponge balls, or I know you can do sponge balls independently from cups and balls, but if the sponge balls are going to be used as loads for your cups and balls later to like show that the small red ball becomes a bigger ball and then maybe you have it come something else, I don't know if doing the sponge ball magic is going to work because, for instance, if you're doing your sponge ball routine but you're only using three balls, right? there's four. And then you do your cups and balls later, and your finale is showing four sponge balls. I just feel like there's something icky there because you gave away how the sponge ball thing worked earlier, and even if they don't think back, that's how my brain thinks, and I kind of want to stay away from that line of thinking in terms of the people that I'm performing for. I don't want that to be a thing. But I do like to keep these on me because they are very visual, and I can hand them out for people to practice with if they want to get into it. And I got these. I bought 2 sets of them from my local Ollie's. They were $5 for like learn to juggle, and that it was just a little cute little box, learn to juggle with a little booklet, and so that's what I learned from. And I've picked up a couple of other things along the way, but I haven't really. That's my hobby within a hobby. It's a different skill set. I love it. There was a guy. I do apologize. Forgot his name. He put on a little thing at the library, little teaching thing for. He does juggling, but he also does like plate spinning and acrobatic stuff and things like that. I love plate spinning. There's just something fun about the balancing act of that. The stuff that this individual is doing, it takes time. It takes time to get there, and so maybe someday, but I don't think so because our vocation is specifically here. The Sharpie is for a couple of different reasons. I don't like Sharpies. Okay, I like Sharpie magic, but here's my problem with Sharpies. Thinking about it constructively as we put together, we're practicing putting these stuff together today. Transitions and just building things as we go through our ideas of what we're going to carry. The Sharpie acts as a wand, which is great. The Sharpie can be used as a secular object by itself. There's many things that the Sharpie can be used for. You can use it to transition. You can use it to gesture. You can use it to have them write with. But here's my problem with this. Sharpie is not the standard writing tool that you would use if you were writing something, if that makes sense. Now, obviously, if you're going to write on the board, you want a thick tip marker so that they can see it from further away. I get it. But because of the amount of ink on it, you got this smelling thing, you got this. There's other things that go into it that may be a turnoff to your show. Now, my problem is it's a fine point. Still, it's sharp. There's jokes rolled into it. There's so many beautiful things about the Sharpie. My only problem is that, again, it's not something that you typically would write with in a regular writing set, like a pen. So that's kind of the only problem that I have with it. But other than that, I don't think that's a deal breaker for me. I still carry a wand of some kind in my bag. And you'll see in a second which wand I have in there. If you've been following the channel, you already know. Everything looks good for sound. This is not a good time to check that out at 15 minutes. So the wand or the marker is usually in the bag. So we're going to put it over there for right now. We're just trying to clear off our desk because we are going to, over the next week or so, maybe in the month of May, we're going to be doing the Trick or Day May stuff. So we're going to be doing a live video on Monday and a live video on Friday. And then we're going to be doing our shorts throughout the week for Trick or Day May. That's going to be the capacity that we have for our videos for May. But in the meantime, you might see the studio start to change a little bit as I reallocate everything to this back wall. I have two stands. You see the black one here. And then I have a gray one over there that's taller than that one. But they're going to go side by side here with me in the middle. And then the camera is going to be facing this direction, and all the lighting is going to be on this wall. So that's the objective over the next month or so. So hopefully we can really get... So you're not going to see the mess of stuff behind me there. You're only going to see what I want you to see. Magic. I like to keep a pen and paper with me so that I can take notes if need be. My phone keeps going off, but why? We're going to go ahead and take a look at my post from earlier just to see if there's any movement on it. And we're going to check our live to make sure everything is still solid there. The guy's still floundering around. Very good. One person watching. Clearly it's me because I like watching myself. And then, let's see. Back over here. Perfect. Okay, so we're still good there. Let's go ahead and check out my post. We are live. Let's go ahead and like that. There are 0 votes so far, so there's no movement happening there. Now, according to my analytics, this is a good time to post videos. People are just, especially in my area, people are just getting home. People might be watching this later. That's fine. This is for everybody. I've got the Journey sitting out here because I was working on that a little bit. The disc is actually in my other laptop. Rubik's Cubes, I go off and on whether I carry them and practice them. I need to get a new Nexus Cube because I think this one was dropped in the mud, or I might have to get some new oil for that. I always keep a pack of cards, a stack of cards rather, here. This is a little fun thing here that I like. This is a good way to just open your show, right? Because you have 0 expectations of what's going to happen, but with a little bit of magic and a whole lot of finger pain, you can actually make the magician appear. Yeah, there he is. He's the appearing magician. I'd like to get a tattoo of that someday. I do have it on the back of my phone as well. For tattoo ideas, I would like to get the deck of tarot cards on my arms and mostly arms. The idea for that simply comes from the fact that my wife gets tattoos and she wants to get matching tattoos, so we want to do the Sun and Moon tarot cards. And I think that's a good start to that. This is my little helper. I do have a deck. I have a couple of decks of the mini cards that I like to play around with once in a while. I do want to put together because big fan of Super Mario. These are my Super Mario coins. I have almost a whole set of them that I carry. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to put together a big and small, like a jumbo deck with the mini cards and then maybe the medium ones in there, and kind of do like a full routine with this idea of the card changing sizes as part of a Mario skit, because that's something that happens in the game. So ideally, that's something that can happen. Now, something else that we do, we jump over on TikTok. We like to do a cube chat. So basically, we just have our cube sitting out here, and we'll solve it while we're chatting to people. I get a lot more traction over on TikTok than I do on YouTube. So people engage with my shorts a lot more than my other content. So I might have to start growing things. Trick-or-May has always been a great way. So if you're out there and you're thinking about doing some videos, Trick-or-May is a great way to get that traction going for your channel, and it has helped me immensely in the past. So let's take a look at the Lego bag, which is one that I'm super duper proud of. And there's a handful of other things that I'd like to get, and there's even like a $300, $400, $500. It costs about as much as a regular Lego kit that I'd like to get for this show, and that'll be my ending, which is the premise is basically that you show a blank Lego thing and then you magically transform it into a picture. Why would you not want that to be your closer? So that's my ultimate goal for that, would be a Lego show that ends with that. So my rainbow scarf is part of my rope magic, and it's wearable and it's beautiful, right? What I'm carrying in here, like I said, I just threw some coins in here. I would like to get a set of jumbo coins that are, maybe get a Morgan Dollar one, but this is a 3-inch. I'd like to get 5 and 7 if I can find them. I do carry the $50 in here to match that, because I feel like the Morgan Dollar is a little, people notice, in my opinion. Again, it goes back to the other thing I was talking about how I feel about it. So maybe I either have to get over that, or I just have to try it out to see if people notice. But what I like to do with that idea is I will take it from the small one, and oh, you can't see that? Let me go ahead and blow it up for you. And I use that like on your phone, like you're gonna, to zoom in, and then that's where that shows up. Now I do this move that I think works pretty good, but and I do a dump move like a shuttle pass. But if you were to just do a shuttle pass, the normal size would hit the back of this coin. So I do a side to side shuttle pass as I open my hand and squeeze effectively to get it back down to size. And then that gives me enough time to simply get this hand out of the way, because I'm getting this up here in a way that appears like it's still in the hand. And I got bigger hands, so it's not like it's out of the realm that I could do that. It fits in my palm. So that goes back into the same idea about the cards that I was just talking about with Mario, where it gets smaller and bigger. Now, is that a good idea to have two effects that are the same? I don't think it's terrible, as long as you tie them together properly. I have my Daisy. I have my Daisy coin here, I think, and Chinese coins. So, like I said, I just kind of threw some in there, and then I got my Morgan Dollar, and we've seen this one. This is the one that I like having the pocket for. Oh, let's try that one more time. Maybe you missed it. We're going to take it from here, put it into the pocket. Yeah, it's in the pocket, but it's just going to reappear in the hand. Okay, last but not least, we're going to keep a close... Oh. You get so used to it that you just do it. Keep a close eye on the coin. Keep a close eye on the coin. The coin does, in fact, go into the pocket, and then it's gone. And then you have it reappear somewhere else. That's the idea. So those are the coins. And so that allows you to introduce, like if you've got your cards out, or like this box that we did with the magician, maybe you have a coin in there now that now the magician has the coin that you could have loaded, however you want to do it. There's endless opportunities to have the coin to a possible location, and especially if it's a callback to something that happened earlier, chef's kiss, even better. Okay, so I have you've been here long enough that if you're watching this, you're getting some freebie stuff here. This is bricked. That's my Omni deck Lego, my Lego wand. I have a silk. I could change this out for my silk ribbon, but I'm already using a rainbow scarf. Now, you could have them be similar. That's fine. But the rainbow silk covers pretty much the same ideas as this. And that is it, really. And that's surprising, because this is a whole set in and of itself. Like this is its own routine that I do because the cards do carry a lot of the load, and then the wand is the misdirection as you change it to green because there's a lot of green on my shirt, and then you change the deck into the Omni deck for the finish, and everything ties itself together. So the coin, this is definitely not like a put together show yet because we talked about it, but there's really nothing there of substance besides the main theme, which is the cards and Lego stuff. Because there's still at least 3 more things that I'd like to get for this show to be an everyday carry that I would never change it unless new Lego stuff came out or if there was some other stuff that you could do. As you notice, I didn't even have a secondary deck of cards in there, which may or may not come about at some point. It just really depends on where we decide to go with that. So let's go ahead and check in with our live. We are at about 25 minutes. There's the guy talking. Not much going on there. That's perfectly fine. Having a good time. So, let's get a drink. Drink of choice, sparkling water. My bubbles are expired. Whoa! See that? That's what happens when they're expired. They don't pop the way they're supposed to. It just floated away. Now I got bubbles all over me. Yeah, so there's some transitional things you could do. There's some fun things you can do. Now, the other one has the Magic 8 Ball. That's the theme that I want to go with that one. So have the 8 Ball deck and then have a regular deck. This one is Lego / toys / video game, like Mario and stuff. So things that are readily identifiable to more of the kid at heart individuals, So I think the 8 Ball one, like if you're gonna do corporate, maybe people do billiards, maybe bar, like there's some context clues there. So I don't know whether or not I want to get a like I could get a different pool ball, like I get a cue ball that'd be white, and that could probably work. Or I could do. What's your thoughts? for the one person watching, which is me, what is your thoughts? What would we do if we wanted to introduce a ball? Is there any type of ball thing? Like there might be an Omni ball, or where is it? This doesn't feel heavy enough for it to be in here. So this is my like I said, it's my carry-on bag. Typically, if I'm going to be doing something, or I'm going to be going on a shorter, like a longer trip than normal, or if I'm going to be doing something that I have some downtime, I'll take this. I have my close-up mat in here. Typically carry that, and then I'll carry a book. I actually have to unpack it from the last time I was using it. This is a nice little... These are definitely things that I probably could have like a little kid show put together for the fun of it, like on TikTok and on here, just to practice them a little bit more. I have 2 wands in here. One is just my regular wand, and then one is the jumping wand. Jumping wand. Now, I think I prefer calling it the kinetic wand. You got to get it some kinetic energy, and then it floats. I mean, if you put your finger on it, it works better. But here's the subtlety, right? This is you're kind of just charging up the tip, right? And that's when, if you've got enough kinetic energy stored, then you can transfer that kinetic energy, which is exactly what it is. So it's a kinetic wand, in my opinion. There's an elastic band there, but I like the subtlety of this. After you've done this a couple of times, you're going to try to make it float here, but it's not going to stay. And then get enough stored energy. Show the finger, but here's the subtlety, right? You're like, there might be enough of that kinetic energy still stored. You're gonna see the end to end as you load this into your hand. They're not gonna see any of that, but you are going to break it. So be careful with that. It can happen. These wands are a dime a dozen. Really, you could find them almost anywhere. Might take a little bit for me to put this back together, so I might do that later. But the ultimate idea there is that you're loading it to do a little bit. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can do that, and this can happen in live performance. Don't fret. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a little wand gag. It's no big deal. You can even say that's cause and effect. That's causal, because you have stored energy, and if it doesn't go anywhere, then it goes back into the object, and that still teaches them a valuable lesson. So be very careful with that. I always like to keep a book on hand, and of course, the one that we like to work on, we were working on routine number 2 out of here, but we haven't got it down yet. We can always leave that out. If there were people here taking tabs and voting, we could do that. The other thing that I'd like to do is I want to put a station upstairs so that I don't have to always be down in the studio where I could be practicing magic upstairs with the family. I might need another close-up pad for that. This is my travel mat that stays in the bag, which is fine. I could just take it upstairs because it is technically traveling, even though it's 5 feet that way. So over here, I still have some stuff packed up in the bags and stuff, which I don't like doing because then it's out of sight, out of mind. Part of the reason why I want to get all that stuff organized is because I still have stuff packed away that I need to get my hands on, and some of it's still not even open. Sponge Bunny, just a random one hanging out. I don't know where the other ones are. I'm just kind of emptying this bag real quick. Oh, good. I forgot about my it's my Oreo, my snack. Oh, sorry. It's fine. We can save that for later. Yeah. That is my Oreo bite cookie. It's a gag. It's not anything it's just for fun. There's nothing about that you should take overly serious about the fact that this is just a fake cookie. That's it. That's all it is. Think about that. Think about that when you think about your magic, and think about the fact that it is, in fact, just a fake cookie. There is nothing that you should take serious about that at all. Let's see. I also have garbage. In my garbage bag over there. Nothing going on here. This is just another. This is a cleaner version of this. I have to learn how to use this a little bit better because this one is all nice on the box. It says Magic Box and everything, and it's got a playing card, and then there's all this going on. It's actually a metal piece in there, so you actually do have to shake it in order for the magic to happen, and that's when the magician shows up. But it's not as clean, in my opinion, as this one, which the magic just happens of its own accord in a fixed way, right? So that one you have to do some stuff with. And I like this one a little bit more, but it doesn't open like a box, right? You have to you just take it apart, which once I realized that, it's way better now because I'm not trying to keep it together. I'm just taking it apart and then I'm putting it back on, and then the magic is happening of its own accord. Well, like I said, that one doesn't happen as smoothly as this one does, because this one does stay together, clearly show that there is no magician, but I am a magician, and so we can make some magic happen here today. There it is. So those are some ideas that I have that I really love, and they happen in the hand. So just keep that in mind. That's pretty cool. I enjoy that. Anything else in the bigger parts here? I think I've gotten all my coins out and everything that I was keeping in here. In the top, I need to get these back out because I haven't really practiced with them as much as I would like. They're pretty cheap at Walmart. Oh, there's some more coins. Oh, that's where those are. Been looking for those. Be careful, you will lose stuff if you got stuff everywhere. So these are my balloon swallow balloons, prepped and ready to go. I keep them separate from my other balloons. And don't lose these. Actually, we will just put them right back in here. Something that I do need to practice and learn is how to blow these up without a tool. Because things can go wrong. They can. I don't know if you knew this, but things can go wrong. Horribly wrong. So you want to make sure that if your props or your tools or something, if you forget them or they break or what have you, that you should still have an alternative method. Because if I were, like currently right now, I could probably blow it up, but I need to, make sure that I practice and I'm prepared for that when the time comes. That I need to know how it feels and how to go through that so it's natural when I'm doing it. So that if something were to happen, you could just eventually just get to the point where you're blowing up the balloon yourself, which is already impressive, in my opinion. So basically what that does is it makes it so that, for all the reasons I just listed, you have an alternative method to something. You can make it more impressive because you're not using you're doing something differently than other people normally do it, which is magic. That's all magic is you have a skill that they don't have. This pouch is the bane of my existence. I'll tell you what, the bane of my existence, and here's why. Yet another just random coin. I got a bunch of coins in here. Coin magic. It's fun. So these are my mini sponges. And I don't like them in this hard case. I like using glass cases. I'm not a big fan of this particular glass case because it is not low profile like the other one that I have. Like my Easter show, 90% of it fits in the glass case. And it's a big show. It's not a tiny thing. It all fits in the glass case. So I like it. This is a little bit more bulky than what I'd like to carry because if you do have it in your pocket, it'd be fine there, but if I've got it inside like a blazer pocket, it tends to stick out a little bit. The reason why it's the bane of my existence is because this is my Eugene Burger, along with, I don't know why I can never remember this guy's name, but I've seen this performed live and I still absolutely love it. The multiplying ball thing. So if you are familiar with video games, which I hope you are, if not, that's fine. Oblivion, the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, you might actually know it's just been remastered, so you're seeing the commercials for it. Well, back in the day, I don't know if they're still doing it, but there's a cheat that you can do, which is you dub material. So you can create more than one object, and you do it by using scrolls. So you copy your scrolls, and then however many scrolls you have in your inventory, that's how many of the object that you're trying to create. Well, if you create like a ball, and you do the effect, and then you drop the one ball, and it starts to dub itself, it duplicates into the spatial area that you're in, it'll fall as one object, but then it'll just start to come apart as it's multiplying, not multiplying, but duplicating off from that one object, and it just spreads out and fills the area, which looks like magic. And that's exactly how this looks when it's done properly. And so that's why I absolutely love this, and so I do want to have one in my repertoire. And that's why it's the bane of my existence, because it's my absolute favorite trick, bar none. It's one of the main reasons that maybe not the main reason I got into magic, but it's definitely the one that has given me the most inspiration. I've seen it done live. I've seen it done on TV. I've seen it done in tutorial training, thing like that. And it's just my absolute favorite piece of magic, the multiplying sponge balls. So hopefully someday I will get that up and running and have a good one and do justice to the legends that have brought it forth in the past. So yeah, so that's mainly this is, like I said, this is just this is a travel bag for me right now. It's not something that's used for any sort of show material. I'm just now putting together the fanny packs for the carry around stuff. This is basically just close up mat and a couple of props that I can put in here with a book that allows me to practice while I'm on the road. If we like, if the family, if we go up somewhere like traveling to Buffalo, or if we're gonna be in the car for a while, or we're gonna be in a hotel overnight, or any number of other things that may or may not come up in our daily lives. So I'm gonna keep these coins out, so I just have an eyeball on them. Everything else is fine in there. The balloons and the mini, we'll keep those there for a second. Keep my cookie out just in case I need a snack. What are we at for time? We are at 40 minutes. We still got about 20 minutes left. We're going to jump back over to the phone, see if anything's happening on there. Maybe go over some other things for prep. Today, the topic is prep. Because if you prepare for anything, as the saying goes, I almost botched it. Expect the best, but prepare for the worst. Therefore, there are no unpleasant surprises. Viren Mathwin. And if you don't know who that is, I'm very sorry. You uncultured swine! So, I haven't kept up with the Wheel of Time season 3. I will watch it at some point when I'm in the right headspace for it. But I grew up with the books. I've read them. I've listened to them on audiobook multiple times. I'm familiar with the story. And basically what I do with a lot of things that I do that I love is I wait until I can't remember the details clearly, and then I'll go back for a reread or rewatch if it's a show, things like that. So keep myself familiar with them. Wheel of Time has been something that's been in my base since I was a teenager, maybe even preteen. I have followed it most of my life. And we, back in the day, they had the computer game, which would have been cool if I had been able to find it and play it. Just a fun little, back then. Now video games have moved so far forward that some things are difficult to go back to. Like Turok, it's got a weird control. I don't know why it did that, but anyway, they were gonna do a video game before, but that didn't end up. They were gonna do a TV show, but that didn't work out before, and then they finally made the TV show. And I mean, there's magic in there, so we're still talking magic, right? I know back in the day when I was doing my lives, we used to talk all sorts of, like, Harry Potter and all sorts of stuff. We just hang out, but inspirational magic, because if you're watching a show or reading a book and you see or read something that inspires you, try to incorporate that into your daily life. Try to see if you can reproduce that same magical moment. But Viren Mathwin is a character in the book. I won't spoil it, but she's one of my top 5 characters, and so I don't know how the show is going to end up handling her towards the end. But in the books, before the show does anything more, and like I said, I haven't watched season 3, and if you haven't watched it, or if you haven't watched the show, please read the books first, because the changes that they're doing in the show does not do the series justice as a story. Not saying it's bad, but the adaptation version. So keep it separate. So I talked briefly about this, and I have a different channel that this would probably be better on, but I've got some time to kill. If anybody wants to jump on and chat, that's fine. There is the Shannara Chronicles that came out. It was on Spike, and then it was on MTV first, and then it kept moving around. Spike TV's, I think it's Paramount now. I think they keep changing them. Everything's gone from the past. Everything just keeps moving on, moving forward. So basically, it was another adaptation that didn't quite do the story justice, and the only description that I have found that even begins to remotely explain is, in an alternate reality, might be how it would play out. I didn't hate the Shannara Chronicles in the first season. Second one just went off the rails. I still watch them, but there's just some problems that are not inherently a part of the story that changed the context. So I'm just not a fan of that in general. Now, does that mean I couldn't enjoy the show? I still enjoyed parts of it, and that's fine, but it wasn't as memorable as the books. It did not exceed, it did not add to, and that's what adaptation should do. It should seek to capture the same message, and if it can do it better, it should do it better, and if it can't do it better, it should at least respectfully and in good taste make the story exemplify, show in good taste the original message of the story. Now, that being said, sometimes traditional values and modernization clash, which happens. And so if you want to modernize a story that may have had some elements that were less than ideal for today's audience, then changes can be made as long as they still capture the same essence of what was the original idea in the first place. So, for instance, let's say a book or video game, in this case it'd be more of a book idea, but let's say it wanted, in context, it wanted to clash with traditional values to point out some type of hypocrisy. No specifics here, we're just generalizing, which is okay in some contexts. In this one, I think it's fine. But basically, it's meant to make you think, and it's meant to give you an alternate opinion because it's presenting you with the original source material and it's giving you an opinionated view of it so that you can think critically about that presentation. Now, if it does it in such a way to make it clear that the author is basically just monologuing, that can be tiresome. But if it's done in such a way to give you conflict and resolution, then there is some palatableness to it because it gives you the ability, again, to understand how real debate and real arguments happen, which is both sides have a chance to explore their value and to debate what their feelings in to execute those arguments in a respectful manner to the original argument. And then that way you can come to your own conclusion about how you feel about the context of those arguments. Now, society might have a belief that something is wrong, but maybe that's different from your opinion. And that's beautiful. That's okay. Because we are people and we are diverse and we are allowed to have different opinions from other people. And it's okay to tell them that you don't agree with them. That's okay. So in the context of making stories, this is my whole this is my soapbox. Is that what it's called? When you get on your soapbox and start, just monologuing like I'm doing right now, talking about the Wheel of Time, is that they tried to make their own story, which was fine. And I was okay with that because I understood that there were complications that you had to overcome. Fine. I'm okay. I'm on board with that. There were changes that were made that made sense. They were justified because I call it the fallacy of time in a story, right? So let's say you're writing a story over decades of your life, like Robert Jordan, James Oliver Rigney, right? You're writing this story over a long period of time, and the first book and the last book, there's going to be inconsistencies, especially if time is involved with that, because you got to go back and rewrite stories and introduce new characters, and sometimes they don't line up, and sometimes you change your mind halfway through, and this is the world of writing. It's a fallacy, right? Because that's what I call it, the writer's fallacy of time, especially if time travel is involved. But in this case, the context is that it's very hard to connect those dots perfectly. Fine, I get it. So sometimes the character at the end gives you some things that you can do that you might not that might not have been available at the beginning of the story because of context, because things have changed. You came up with better ideas because the more you're immersed into that creative world, the better it can be. So I think what they did in the context of the Wheel of Time for season one is they made some people's stories better because they gave them more context because of what they become in the future, and it lines up better because you went into a certain direction. In other cases, they made things happen that didn't happen until later because of other things that happened. And because they cut out those things that led up to it, they it fell apart in my opinion because they lost the plot. They lost the reason for it to happen and they jumped right into it and there was no justification for it. So that's kind of what I draw my parallels for there. But then here comes the other crux of the problem is that they were creating their own story, a parallel of this story, which in the Wheel of Time context can work because there was already an established principle and idea that there are multiple worlds. So this is completely plausible in my mind, and I'm completely on board with the idea that this could happen. But then they would lift scenes from the story and put it directly into the show for context and for emotional cues for readers. And these scenes were pivotal foundational moments. But like I just said, the double edge of that, some people were better, background was better because they added context of things that happened later, and others were left out, were fell apart because they made things happen too quickly without giving justification. That's exactly what we're talking about here. When you lift scenes from the book and put it in the show and there's no context for it, it makes no sense. There's no payoff. Which in the book, you feel the right here, you feel it here in your chest, you feel it in your hands, you feel it on the back of your neck, you feel it in the book because of the justification for these things to happen. But in the show, there was no justification, there was no build-up. It just seemed out of place. I mean, yeah, there's dots there, but there's no emotion behind it. So I didn't feel the same context. The only thing that I felt, and again, like I pointed out, I felt some type of way because I recognized the scene from the book playing out like it was in the book. But there was no justification in the show to have the scene play out that way. So as a reader, I was like, this is way more intense than you understand. But if you haven't read the books, you're just seeing the scene for the first time and you're not really getting anything out of it, unfortunately. So that's why there's a problem with adaptation, because the buildup that happens in the book and the emotional journey that you take along the way isn't the same in the show when they're not giving you the same justifications and they're not ingraining that emotion into early on and forming those connections. So that's kind of that sidebar thing, is that the show, in my opinion, either wants to show Robert Jordan's story, The Wheel of Time, or they want to create one of the alternate universes in the larger picture, one of the traveling stones, there's portal stones in the books, and showcase another story, another way for things to happen. You still have the same amalgamation, you still have the same brewing pot to work with, all the same characters, but because choices were made differently, it plays out differently in the story. That's fine. To me, you're plowing ahead on your own, and maybe things line up, maybe things kind of happen, but you change your intro and just showcase a portal stone. Just start working it in there into your intro. Just have a portal stone in the back or whatever, and then as you slowly move forward and through the seasons, bring it more prominently to the front, so that now it's clear that when they go through these portal stones, which I believe in season 3 they're introduced for the first time, this would be perfect to showcase, show an image of the other Rand, the other world, the book, the dark, the Wheel of Time story, and then show that this is a different path because we're a different world from that story. I mean, it just makes sense, and I feel in my heart of hearts that this would make justification happen for why things are different, because choices were made that I agree with, and the choices were made that I don't agree with. But I'm not writing the story, and I'm not there to make those decisions. I don't mind some things that other people are upset about. From a storied perspective, I just matter when continuity doesn't make sense. And so hopefully it's one of those things where a lot of shows, they struggle for the first season or second season, and then they get their footing, and then they really start to establish their own once they've built out their world. Hopefully that happens here, and hopefully they can stay consistent all the way to the end, which is really important for the story to see itself. Once you've started it, like to see it finished, but done in a proper way, which doesn't necessarily mean it has to be by the book. Because there's a lot of great things to explore in the Wheel of Time, and there are a lot of things that you can do by pulling from the end of the books that make the initial stories even better, in my opinion. So that's my break on the Wheel of Time. Live magic practice. We divulged into the Wheel of Time. Why? Because it matters to me. I love the Wheel of Time so much. Couldn't help myself. I just had to go on a tangent and talk about it. Like I said, I do have another channel that I could put more energy into that this could work, but we're not there. We're over here. We're just chatting. We're having a good time. There is, in fact, nobody here. So it's just me monologuing like a villain. Oh, it's upstairs. I was gonna get my bowler hat, my Durban. Makes me look like a villain. So just chatting it up. Did I ever go back to the phone? I think I forgot to go back to the phone. But I do recommend that you read the books and watch the show. Read the books first, or unless you don't like to read, then go ahead and grab watch the show. Let's take a look at my community tab, and we're just gonna see if there's anything happening over here. No votes yet. What magic should we work on today? Another option, comment below if you have something more specific. Cards, coins, rings, and ropes, sponges, plus cups and bowls. I don't know. I don't know. Here, let's do this. See if this will work. Camera. Video. We are currently live. That was a terrible intro. We are currently live on YouTube for our live magic practice. Come check us out on Fridays at 3:30. We're going to be here for about another 10 minutes. This isn't a good video, is it? This is terrible. Terrible context. If you were here, though, we could have a good time, though, and laugh about it. I've got the camera up, and I'm just recording. At this point, there's really no justification to get people involved in it. But we should showcase some magic today for this. So what should we do? Do I have a ring? I have a ring. Watch out. Excuse me while I put this in my little holder here. So we're currently live on YouTube for our live magic practice on Fridays, somewhere between 3 and 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. Now, we talked about my traveling cases, my fanny packs, and the magic that I carry on a daily basis. We went into a monologue about the Wheel of Time, the books in the show. There are some spoilers, but it's for funsies. But I figured we would leave us off today as we end the live. We're going to do our Trick a Day May. We did a handkerchief yesterday, the haunted handkerchief. Today we're going to do ring through silk. Make sure that we get ourselves a nice, good, solid knot in here. And then you should see it just melt right through. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next time for Turkey Day May, day number 3. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Let's get this back off of here. Stop that. And then we're going to edit it live. We're at about an hour right now. So let's go ahead and pop this into our YouTube Create. It's YT Create. It looks something like this. You get a list of your projects. And that's what it says, your projects. And then you hit the plus. And then I drop in the video I just did, which was 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Now, obviously, we're going to cut some of that because we were practicing some stuff. But we're going to end up editing that, and for shorts it can be up to 3 minutes, which is fine, but there's a gray area after 60 seconds. So we're going to try to get this at under 1 minute if we can. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time for Turkey Day May, day number 3. So I'll cut the end, and then we'll go back to the beginning. Eastern Standard Time. Now, we talked about my travel. Excuse me while I put this in my little holder here. So we'll cut off the beginning. We're at about 1 minute and 8. So I think we're pretty good at getting 60 seconds. So we're at 1 minute and 3. We're at 1 minute, but we need to cut at least 1 more second. But we'll listen to it and see if there was any pauses in there that we need to redo. So we're currently live on YouTube for our live magic practice on Fridays, somewhere between 3 and 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. Now, we talked about my traveling cases, my fanny packs, and the magic that I carry on a daily basis. We went into a monologue about the Wheel of Time, the books in the show. There are some spoilers, but it's for funsies. But I figured we would leave us off today as we end the live. We're going to do our Turkey Day May. We did a handkerchief yesterday, the Haunted Handkerchief. Today we're going to do Ring Through Silk. Make sure that we get ourselves a nice, good, solid knot in here. And then you should see it just melt right through. Stellar. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next time for Turkey Day May, day number 3. So that's pretty solid. Now, as a side note, I did my Turkey Day May yesterday, and I gotta be very careful because I got a copyright strike. I don't know how serious of a strike it was on Facebook for using music that YouTube said was royalty free. When I listened to the music that they said that it was from, I don't know why. It was 1 second of the music, but it didn't even sound like the music, or at least if it did, it was like towards the end of the song, so it wasn't even something that you would catch. But again, it didn't sound like it. It was instrumental, and it was a little bit more intense than what they had. So I was confused on that, but I always just accept, because if it's music related, I'm not trying to get money out of the video. I'm just trying to put out content. So, but then I got a copyright strike even though I accepted it. So why are they getting ad revenue on my video, even though I gave them their credentials, even though I didn't use their song, 1, intentionally, but 2, the song that I used was something different. So it's discombobulated, and I don't want anybody to be upset about it. I just don't know where I went wrong. So YouTube is fine, but I noticed that TikTok and Facebook have different rules for that. So just be careful if you're posting across platforms, because they are different. Different music, different rights, different copyright rules, all that stuff. Very intense. Obviously, because of how loud it is, I like to put it down in the background, so I drop it down to like 21, 22. So we're currently live on YouTube for our live magic practice on Fridays, somewhere between 3 and 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. You hear it in the background. Now, we talked about my... We're actually going to drop it down to 7:18. Yeah. Traveling cases, my fanny packs, and the magic that I carry. Now, I don't like the fact that on here you can see the table. That's where I like to have that level. On here, it's showing my legs, but you can't see my shorts. So we definitely want to make sure that we're being nice and appropriate about it. So what I want to do is put a sticker down there just to kind of cover up the bottom. So we're currently live on YouTube for our live magic practice on Fridays, somewhere between 3 and 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. Now, we talked about my traveling cases, my fanny packs, and the magic that I carry on a daily basis. We went into a monologue about the... Now, personally, 1-minute videos is fine, but Trigger Day May, we're going to speed it up. So now it's only 30 seconds. So we're currently live on YouTube for our live magic practice on Fridays, somewhere between 3 and 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. Now, we talked about my traveling cases, my fanny packs, and the magic that I carry on a daily basis. We went into a monologue about the Wheel of Time that looks at the show. There are some spoilers, but it's for funsies. But I figured we would leave us off today as we end live. We're going to do our Trick Day May. We did a handkerchief yesterday, the Monster handkerchief. Today we're going to do a ring through silk. Make sure that we get ourselves a nice, good, solid cotton here. And then you should see it just melt right through. Thank you, everybody. See you next time for Trick Day May, day number 3. Gorgeous. We'll put some transitions on that, but we're going to bring this live to an end. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I really do appreciate it. We talked some shop at the beginning. We went into a Wheel of Time monologue, so that's always fun. And then, of course, we ended off with shooting our Trick Day May day number 2 video just for you. Yep, just for you. So we will do some posts throughout the week so that you guys have a chance to engage with these workshops if you are interested. And if not, then it'll just be me hanging out by myself. Which, it's okay. It's okay. Thank you, everybody. And remember, stay positive, stay active, and stay awesome. And hopefully, we see you in the next one. Okay, bye.